Chairman, thank you very much. And I deeply appreciate the position that you have and how critically important it is, particularly right now. And frankly, the relatively candid responses that you give, which is in many ways revolutionary from this particular responsibility. I wanted to ask you a question about the housing market and you know, the circumstances that we're dealing with there. This economy is still very, very rough. It's not secured by any means. And there are a whole host of things that really need to be done, and an awful lot of attention needs to continue to be paid to it. One aspect of that, of course, is the housing market. And as you mentioned, the Federal Reserve, under your leadership, has worked with the administration and Congress to create an environment to encourage responsible home ownership. And that was something that was very positive. And it stepped in a very positive way to deal with this economic situation. The conditions are about to change. And one of the ways in which they change is the fact that in March, the Federal Reserve stopped purchasing mortgage-backed securities, which had kept interest rates low and helped to stabilize the housing market. Can you give us the justification for that and what you think the aspects of that are going to be?
Well, we to go back to the comments of Mr. Brady, we have already expanded our balance sheet quite considerably, and we didn't want to create such a large balance sheet that it would create uncertainty or concern about our ability to normalize policy in an appropriate time. We were concerned about the potential impact of the cessation of MBS purchases on mortgage interest rates, and for that reason we announced well in advance our proposal, and we reduced our purchases very gradually. We tapered off our purchases. And I'm pleased to say that so far we see very little effect on mortgage rates. They've been essentially no effect on mortgage-backed security yields. And so at this point, I don't anticipate any significant impact on mortgage rates. Of course, if...
For how long? I mean, there have been a number of announcements just over the course of the last week or so about the interest rates for mortgages going up, and specific elements talking about how they're about to do it.
Well, the last couple of days, it's gone the other direction.
Yeah.
I think the net change since we stopped purchasing is pretty close to zero. And we will continue to watch that. If there's nothing that says if the economy weakens and the issue is housing and mortgage rates, there's nothing that says we couldn't resume those purchases if necessary, and we'll certainly keep that option open. But again, at this point, the main effect seems to be that we're still holding $1.4 trillion in agency MBS and debt, and that amount being taken off the market seems to be having the ongoing effect of keeping mortgage rates pretty low.
Well, no question about it. It has had a very positive effect. But my concern is, frankly, that now that positive effect is being eliminated. And we already see issues that indicate that these interest rates are going to go up. These interest rates go up. As they go up, that is going to reduce the housing market, particularly in the context of the ongoing economic circumstances that most working people are having to confront. So I'm deeply worried about this, and I thank you for saying that you'll be looking at it and considering it and maybe making some changes, hopefully, if it seems to be necessary. There are other aspects of the housing market, however, also that are also about to cause some serious problems, it seems to me at least. Among those, the first-time home buyer tax credit is due to expire April 30th. And the FHA has recently tightened its restrictions on loan eligibility. So the housing market is not yet stabilized. So I wonder what you think about all three of these issues that are essentially being eliminated now, which were put into play to deal with the economic circumstances, and which caused a positive effect on the housing market. But now those effects are being eliminated. And it seems to me that this situation is likely to get progressively worse, and maybe rapidly worse.
Well, the number of starts of housing has been very low, and unfortunately, all the efforts, including the low mortgage rates, have not really rejuvenated new construction very much. So that remains a concern. I think you didn't mention. I think one other important aspect here is the foreclosure mitigation issues. One of the most important aspects of the housing market is not even just the amount of construction, but what happens to house prices. Because if house prices stabilize, that will help consumer confidence, because people will feel that they're not, that their value of their home is not falling anymore, and it will help probably improve, reduce mortgage delinquencies as well. So one concern we have is that foreclosures will continue to put houses on the market and cause house prices to fall further. So we're watching that very carefully, and we're hopeful that some of the programs that the government has put in place will help mitigate that foreclosure rate.
Well, I'm deeply concerned about the effective elimination of these three issues, which had a positive effect, and the elimination of these three issues prior to the moment when the housing market is improving significantly. So I think that this is something
that is an excellent point, and the gentleman's
attention.
time has expired, and we look forward to the chairman's response.
No, I agree. The housing market has been a big part of this whole cycle, absolutely, and we're going to have to watch that sector very carefully, not just in terms of construction, but in terms of prices, in terms of foreclosures. Those are all big issues for people in this economy. Yeah.